Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Schmoedown. We do apologize for us coming in on a little late, but internet, they don't want to work with you when you want it to. What more can I say about that? But ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us on your Saturday, or if you're rewatching it, thank you for clicking onto this video. I am one of your hosts, Ryan Payne, here at Schmoedown. Above me is my second co-host, John of Movie Lovers Talk. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. Thank you for having me, and good to have Soda over here too.
Yes. Also, our special guest for us on this episode, Soda of the Schmoes of the North, our parent company, or our brothers of the Brothers in YouTube Movie Trivia podcasting.
Yeah, I prefer brothers. I mean, parents just sounds a little weird. I prefer we're brothers in this.
Yeah.
I'm not that much older than you.
No, I'm trying to take it like a business sense, but I like that. Brothers in Movie Talk podcast. But let's just get into this, guys. For you just clicked onto the video, we are going to be talking about the Inglorious one, the first double champion, the manager of the Usual Suspects, Samm Levine. I have to admit, this is one. He's been a long time coming personally for me. When Ben, and for those who are wondering why Ben's not here, unfortunately, he couldn't be able to commit today. He had so of course, like all of us, life happens. So he had some other personal errands to run, but he will be back with us next week on our next episode. But right now, you got myself, you got John, and you got Soda, and we're just gonna get into talking about Samm. As I just mentioned, Samm, first double belted champion of the Schmoedown. First free-for-all winner. I think probably one of the first persons of the team, of the first ever team of the team's ultimate Schmoedown, I believe. Or maybe it was. Yeah, I'm trying to keep it straight in my head. But beyond that, Samm Levine, he accomplished a hell of a lot during his time in the Schmoedown. Going from debuting with the I believe one of the champions of Jeopardy as a team double Jeopardy, going up against Perry.
Oh, is that who that was?
I forget what I know. He was a winner on Jeopardy. I just don't know if it was like in one of those times where Jeopardy was doing like the Battle of the Champions or so, Battle of the Winners.
That would make sense with the name Double Jeopardy.
Yes, it did. But going in with Samm Levine, this guy, he was obviously there for the love of the movie trivia. He wanted to play for fun, but when he did get serious, he got better, especially on his little 6 to 7, his seven winning streak as he had, including becoming champion, like defending that belt 2 times on 2 separate occasions, which was amazing. And then just seeing him with Drew McWeeny. Like, if you can't say for another perfectly placed power team above the line, that is what you got to say right there. But Samm, he was a great he complimented Drew McWeeny. He was a dominant player whenever he got a slice he liked, and he was definitely not one to cut. He was definitely not one to go with the trash talking.
God, no,
not at all.
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead, John.
No, it's okay, man.
I took too much talking, guys, so I throw the floor to you guys.
Okay, I was gonna say, yeah, I rewatched some of his matches just because I started my very first thing with Spectacular 1, so I really haven't seen much before that. So I went back and I watched his first match and a couple others. But I had forgotten just how testy his rivalry with Roca got, and I had forgotten that he had said in an interview, "F you, John Roca," and that Roca had used it. Like, there's just so many things about Samm's career prior to Above the Line that I had just totally forgotten about. And it was great to go back and watch them. I didn't realize that he was Finstock's last opponent as an actual regular singles competitor. I didn't know that.
You see, I didn't know that either, to be honest with you.
I think that was one of the things why I love rewatching some of these old matches. You really get to realize, oh my God, Samm, he not only was the winner, he just like everyone focused like on the first free-for-all, everyone focuses on the Mark and Draco clearing the table. But then we also forget Samm himself also cleared the table. Like, sure, you got the XX5XX, but then Samm had the 3XXXX to where he cleared the table and to where Finstock was his last opponent for him to win. And
I think that one gets overshadowed because, well, first off, it wasn't a 5. And second of all, who remembers the competitors that were on Samm's table at that point? Or as opposed you remember who was on a Draco's table?
Yes. And I'll admit, even rewatching the first free-for-all, I still can't remember who the heck was on Sam's table.
Yeah.
I just know that Finstock was his last opponent because I think, oh no, it was free-for-all 2 where Finstock did the whole like coming in as two different personas.
Yes, that would be correct. The first one just came out as Finstock, but like Tom Dagnino.
Yes. But also at the same time with Sam winning, it was kind of like not unprecedented, but it was kind of like an unspoken rule amongst the fans. Everyone assumed of the first free-for-all that if you played to the last person, but when we got to free-for-all 2, when Brienne won, it was just more of everybody else was on table, and whoever had the highest points won. And then and of course, myself, Ben, and our old co-host Brandon, along with our buddy Jay Scotty, we went on this whole tirade on what was the point of the fans losing their shit over Brianna. Just because they didn't play to the last person did not mean Brienne's win did not mean anything. And it was just kind of like they all thought about that first free-for-all with Sam because it was just him and Finstock, even though, like we just mentioned, we forgot he cleared a goddamn table.
Yeah, personally, I prefer what they did this year, where it's just like they kept going until you have one player standing, which I think is the way it should go. What they're finally doing.
Yeah, and I don't mind that, and I really don't mind that as well. I mean, as long as they can be able to, have the time for it, especially after this free for all. Like, we thought we were going to have ourselves another Uber.
Leo Logan with the save as always. How you doing, Leo?
And Draco Burnett, Dennis Zen, and
Hector,
Hector and Bar, okay. So
not as memorable as opposed to Merle, Bibiani, McQueenie, and Draco and Roca. Like,
Right.
But I'd forgotten that Draco made it to the very end. I had forgotten about that.
Right, which was kind of interesting too. The fact that Draco had that big moment. Like, if he did not get swept by Sam, we probably could have seen him, Sam, and Finstock in that last moment.
Probably,
and then maybe then we would have known that it wasn't to like the last person. Maybe it was always that whoever had the most points at the end of that last round was the winner. But we'll never know.
Well, yeah, just thinking about that, there's a lot of things that could happen. If Draco would have won, would Sam still be playing?
Yes.
Because he retired, basically because he felt he'd done everything he could.
That's true. And one thing about Sam, I do admit, of course, I mean, look, we started late, so we're just going to get into it at this point with Sam. Sam retiring when he was double belted champion. I mean, obviously, it was a big shock to everybody watching that too, because he and McQueen just had their first successful defense, and also they just did that Iron Man match against the Patriots. So, but then even then, the following pairings that we had down the road, Bibiani had won a #1 contendership to play Sam, and then of course the Shire Wolves had beaten Team Action, and then they were going to play the World's Finest for a #1 contendership match. At that time, before that match even went down, Sam announced his retirement. So then we had, then we had that lead to those Shire Wolves going up against Brienne, cashing in her free-for-all belt. And that's the one thing with Sam. There was so many good potential matches. We could have had Above the Line versus the Shire Wolves, which would have been a rubber match for Clark and Rachel, two people who Sam had beaten for the singles for the two women that Sam was able to, that solidified Sam's run as a champion.
Yeah, that's one thing I just noticed, that his only 2 title defenses were against women. I didn't notice that before.
Yeah, because if you think about it, whenever I was watching, like I was saying before, with Clark Wolf, I was watching that match and then the Rachel Cushing match and everything. Those were the 2 matches that I watched. And then, of course, I ended up watching the 4-way and everything and the way that went down. But, I definitely liked Sam's playing style. I definitely liked how he was playing into everything. But yeah, he actually played against women, and he even said he's even more afraid of women because they're more fierce than men are and everything. And and don't get me wrong, classic Clark Wolf is a sweet, classy woman, but underneath all that, she can actually tear into you if she needs to tear into you to get some points and everything too. And I definitely love the back and forth between Clark Wolf and him going head to head. I thought it was really good, to be honest with you.
No,
And,
that's one. Keep going. Sorry.
No, it's okay. But, it just goes to show you how strong of a competitor that they both are, And it just shows you on the level of gameplay at that time, especially when you look at the buzzard at towards the end of it, when they're actually having to go after that buzzard, which is actually the hard thing to do against Samm. Samm is dominant when it comes down to the fast round, the lightning round. And even Clark owns up to it too. She said, you have to be on your guard with Samm. You actually have to know when to press that button before he does.
Yeah,
and that's the same thing.
Yeah, like after Rachel's loss to Samm, which that match, Samm, he got every question in that lightning round. Clark admitted she had to take the buzzards from the studio to practice with the Five Club in order to make sure she can stand a chance against Samm. And even Samm's match against Christian, even though Christian lost, that I've gone over, and I will still stay my ground that Christian deserved to have at least an hour of rest before his match against Samm.
Or put it at the very beginning of the card.
Yeah.
That's what I would have done. I would have put it as the opening match.
Yeah, and I know some people would have probably argued, then what would have been the last match? Personally, put the Star Wars Iron Man as the last match.
Yeah.
In hindsight, yes, but I would have actually put Above the Line Patriots last.
It does make more sense because at that time, Patriots, they were on an undefeated streak, so it definitely made more sense they were the last match. Going over that spectacular card, Samm played in two Ultimate Schmoedowns, the singles and the teams match, and he was just newly joined with Drew McWeeny, which was amazing at that time. Like, they were just paired together, and they gelled so well going up against the Nerds Watch, and then having them beat DC Movie News, and then beating Team Action, and then going on to face the Patriots. All their matches were just so. I would say
MODOK as well.
That's right, MODOK. But during the tournament, just seeing the fact that how Drew McWeeny felt so at home, he felt so at home with Samm, and vice versa as well.
Yeah, it's funny. Like, it's amazing how well they gelled together for people that really didn't know each other prior to the tournament. Just from what I understand, like, they obviously knew each other, but they didn't know each other. So to see them like out of nowhere just get 4 wins in a row over, you're right, some heavy contenders like Wolves of Steel. Come on, Team Action. Those are some great teams.
Big heavy hitters.
Yeah, and that tournament too had so many great matches, like late to the party, upsetting, critically acclaimed. The debut of the Wildberries, DC Movie News, actually doing a KO to 6 Degrees, and then of course Above the Line beating the Nerds Watch. And I swear, and there were so many great elements going in. Mark Riley's last match at that time was like he and Clark, they need to get a belt, or he's done. He does come back later, but at that time it was amazing. And of course and then let's turn our tie to the singles tournament. So many heavy hitters in there. Roca, Rachel, Clark, JTE, Snyder, Samm, Mike. At that time in that season, Mike was on a roll. Honestly, he was really coming into his own in singles, teams, and becoming a big player in the inner geekdom. Of course, not the same player he is today, but at that time, Mike's potential was limitless. And especially him going up against Samm, where he had he was the only person at that time to have given Josh McCouga a KO in his record.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, 17-6, which is ouch. But let's not forget, that's also the tournament where Stacy upset Mark Baby Carrots Ellis and essentially ended his career.
And the same one where Brienne upset Clark Wolf as well.
Yep, like 2 points. Yeah.
So you definitely want to talk about. Yeah. Everyone loves to talk about Upset City of season 7, but I'm just saying, guys, look back in. The true origins of Upset City was the second Ultimate Schmoedown tournament.
Yeah, no, 100%. And then you get to the final where you had JTE versus Samm Levine, which is a main event no matter where you put it.
That is true. Just seeing exactly how Samm, he got movie release dates, showed exactly why he is such a good player. The fact that he was able to just, I'm not. I don't know if you call it dominating, but just really being able to take command of that slice at the time, which only one person was synonymous with that slice, which was Scott Mance. But the fact that Samm was able to say, Mance is not the only one who's good with movie release dates. And then seeing how he's able to keep JTE on his toes throughout the entire match. Mm. And oh my God, I will still admit him being Bibiani was definitely a start of upsets, honestly, because
for sure, yeah, because as Leo once again put, like Bibbs infamously flopped on Festival Darlings during that match, and that would have been that was during Bibbs' downturn. Like it wasn't the Bibbs we know nowadays.
No, I would have to admit that was at the time where Christian was. There was the whole breakup of the Four Horsemen. That was Christian trying to make Bibiani a heel, teaming him with Ricky Hayburn, and then him and Whitney being these heel teams. It was clear this was definitely not Bibiani's time. So when he did come back, Bibiani found his goddamn energy. He found his speed. He found what works for him.
That's one of those. I wonder if Christian regrets that, because you look at Bibbs, there's nothing about him that screams bad guy ever.
No, I mean his knowledge and sometimes the way he snaps he has with Roca makes you come across that he could come off as a jerk, but no, he's just somebody who just you. Yes, or here's what I have for you, sir, and that's a fistful of dollars.
But you know, it just goes to show you the level of competitiveness that we had during that time, though. And the level that Samm was playing on during that time. And also, too, even the Rachel Cushing match was really good between him and Rachel Cushing was really good. Because here's the thing. When you look at Rachel Cushing and then you look at, of course, you wind up looking at Clark Wolf, both of those matches were head-to-head. There was nothing where it was like for a split decision. There was nothing there where it was like 6 points to 12 or 14 points or anything like that. No. It was neck and neck and everything. Yeah. And it was just unbelievable seeing those two competitors play up against each other and everything. And seeing, especially whenever after all that time of him not knowing anything about animated movies, he answers the cruise. And he winning.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's like, if he didn't know that, who knew how long that sudden death could have gone? And
right.
And even then, it was still amazing. That final round, Samm didn't know any of his 5 final round questions. Clark, I mean, they were legitly tied after that speed round. It was just, who knew their questions? Neither of them knew it. And it was unprecedented. And this is not, and even though some people who are going to watch those matches, they're going to go, oh, why is Samm the GOAT? It doesn't matter how you play, but how well you continue to keep going. I kind of wanted a rubber match between Clark and Samm, which is why I wanted so bad to see Star Wars against Above the Line. But that just goes to show how much I was invested in Samm's championship defenses. Yeah. And one thing we forgot to mention, one thing that Samm, not just with his championship reign, but even as a player before on, he was involved in some very memorable moments. I mean,
that's the thing. Like, I just want to interject real quick with that. Like, that's the thing. Like, I watched a lot of these matches when they aired, but because there's been so much content, it's been so long, I had forgotten about a lot of these things. Like I said before, I had forgotten that him and Roca faced off in the Ultimate Schmoedown tournament, and that they were one of the hottest angles going into it. I had totally forgotten about all that.
Yeah. You were right. And one thing I definitely forgot too, I forgot that he had cashed in his free-for-all at the Collision at the same time Dan won again that triple threat match. Of course, they brought it back. They mentioned it slightly when Dan became a 5-time champion again, but it's not until I rewatched the entire Collision event, going from Dan picking up that victory in that triple threat match. And then before you think it's over, after that interview, Samm just pops up and says, hey, I'm just going to put cash in my free-for-all, and I want to challenge him now. And then Dan, like the monster he was, just goes, fuck it, let's do it. And I swear, Dan really felt as if he was hired in that match because he just kept answering questions. Maybe there were moments on his face where you can see where he was just breath to himself, but he was still playing like a goddamn competitor, like a fucking mental athlete going up against Samm.
Yeah. And I can still remember when Samm cashed in as the wrestling fan. I'm like, oh shit, it's Money in the Bank time. And I remember like just popping so hard when that happened. but again, I had forgotten all that until going over this. And it's like, shit, there was so much good stuff there.
Ugh. So much good shit, honestly.
And I had forgotten that this was his match against Roca. I had forgotten that was the Lena Headey incident.
Yes, that is so true. I mean,
I had forgotten about that.
That Lena Headey incident, I mean, it pretty much was kind of the basis of Samm. I think it was one of the origins of Samm becoming the challenge champion he was. Before we continue on, John, I know because we had to start late here, you do have a previous engagement ahead of you, man. So if you want, I'm going to give you the floor to give you your final, like, anything else you want to say about Samm before you got to go.
I just think that Samm is a great, and here's the thing. I've always been the type of person that likes players that are humble and stuff like that. Samm is just a humble guy when it comes down to treating people equally and stuff like that too. Also, too, he doesn't go around parading anything or anything like that either. He doesn't really have a big ego or anything like that. He does joke around here and there in spots that we saw when he has his belt and he puts it on Rachel Cushing's. He goes on ahead, puts it in. Rachel Cushing goes, "Oh, I'm sorry, my bad. I didn't mean for you to have that. I thought that was my spot." Goes on ahead, takes the belt back, But it's just classic Samm to me. Anything that he does, I'm just going to call it classic Samm because that's something that Samm would do. And so Samm is just one of those players that is really humble what he does. He loves what he's doing. And now he's advising all these other players and stuff like that, and he's coaching them. You're going to get a better coach than Samm to be on your side, to help you through each and every single thing that you're wanting to do. If you're having trouble in one area, Samm probably already has a backup plan to actually help you improve in that area or further your outcome even more. So that's actually how I feel about Samm and everything else. So as far as anybody that can actually reach me or anything like that, you guys can go on ahead, subscribe to my YouTube channel at Movie Lovers TV, Movie Lovers Unite over there. Just follow me on Facebook and Instagram underneath the same name at Movie Lovers TV, Lovers Unite. If you guys want to reach out to me through email, just go ahead and email me at movieloversunite@gmail.com, and then on Twitter at Movie Lovers Unit. And those are all the places that you can go on ahead and find me at. And of course, you guys can find me here on Saturdays at 3:00 p.m. Central Time, 4:00 Eastern. So go on ahead, like and subscribe to this channel, and also like and subscribe over to Movie Lovers Unite over there. So thanks again, Ryan. I'm sorry that I have to be allowed.
No, it's not on you. This one's completely on me. Like I said, my internet decided to be like my internet decided to treat like it was traffic. You're not getting on today.
But I appreciate y'all. Thanks again. Thank you for everybody that's been watching us and everything. Go on ahead and support them. And have a good show, guys.
All right, we'll see you later, John.
Definitely see you next week, man.
All right, see you. All
right.
Well, now that he's done, no, I'm kidding.
Yeah, now let's get to the real host of the show. No,
exactly.
But honestly, John had some great points. Samm, as a person, he was very humble. Like the fact was, obviously outside he's an actor. He's a producer, and he's been I believe he's done podcasts and he's done even mediums as well. So him being on here, this was just even though it was another avenue, but he still showed enough love into it. That's why I did love when Rachel or Clark became the Royal Contenders. Samm would just show up and just measure the bell against him. It's like, yeah, it's gonna look good on your waist, because he knew he was going up against dominant players. And I really appreciate why it made Samm just an overall great person to watch.
Yeah, I do miss that shtick because he was definitely the ultimate underdog. Just because you look at him, he's a Titan, but then you look at these other players, and sometimes you forget just how good Samm is compared to them. And yeah, you're right. You see him do all that stuff during his title defenses. Yeah, it's classic Samm, and he's one that I would put him in a category where if he were to ever leave, the Schmoedown wouldn't be the same.
And you do have a point though, because the moment he left, that was a big shakeup, honestly.
Yeah.
He did get the Shy Wolves as champions, and I will always love the fact that he finally. I love the fact that Clark and Rachel were able to accomplish something great together. But there's always going to be that part of me, and I hate that part that's gonna be like, well, what happened if we got above the line versus Shy Wolves?
And truthfully, you're not the only one. I'm in that boat, and there's probably a lot of people in that boat. The only thing that came out of that upsets me is the reaction the Shire Wolves got. How people were saying they weren't working.
Really hated that.
I hated that as well. It's not their fault. Okay, it was never their fault. No. But no, I'm with you. I would have loved to seen that match. That would have been great. But you're right. Samm retiring put a giant hole in the Schmoedown because not only did he drop the team's belts, essentially left McQueenie hanging. He also dropped the singles belt. Like he dropped 2 titles, and it's like, holy shit, dude.
Yeah, and even at that was at the time when Merle himself came back too.
No, this was before he came back.
No. Merle returned at the second live event, and he played Guy at the Collision, which was when the Patriots and Above the Line had that Iron Man match.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so he had just gone back. Okay.
Yeah,
because that would have been a
rematch. Yeah, it really would have been amazing too to see Samm possibly defend it against Merle at the Spectacular. Merle had gotten that. Oh no, wait, Merle didn't win this. He didn't win the Ultimate Tournament. No, it was Irwin who did. But even then. But like I said, like Samm, despite him leaving, even during the early when he first showed up, like in season 3, he was kind of like really on a up and hill like climb. Mm-hmm. Like he had himself some great wins against Snyder and against Hal Rudnick, but then he loses to Clark Wolf, and then that puts him on a bit of a downward slide. He does come back after winning the free for all. But even then, before he began his winning streak, his only losses were against Mark Riley, Mark Ellis, and Clark Wolf, and Dan Merle.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously.
That's a murderer's row.
Yeah. You want to talk about the only people, you want to talk about the best of the best. Mm-hmm. That, and my record, I would say I would want to lose to nobody else than those 4.
Yeah, no, it's amazing looking at his career because going into that Ultimate Schmoedown tournament, I was convinced Samm was just an average of the road player because I hadn't seen season 3. Going back and watching this all now and realize, like, the only 4 losses he has are 2 Hall of Famers. It's like the dude really was good from the beginning.
Yeah. And amazing. Even when he wasn't a player, Samm still had like a big impact when he was not playing. I mean, not just as a manager, but even Spectacular 3, that triple threat.
That's my favorite moment of Samm Levine's career is Spectacular 3.
That fucking speed round question to where Roca and Irwin don't know that Samm was in Inglorious Bastards, and there's like, you don't know, and then Andrew Samm Levine. Nope, that's it. Whole show, Smith's canceled. We're done.
One of my favorite moments. And that's what I love about Samm is he has no problem, just as much as he loves throwing barbs at other people, he has no problem making fun of himself. And I love that about him.
And I even still love the moment when in the Scream Queens versus Odd Couple, he comes out during their entrance. He's like, guys, I just got this fantastic new role offered to me. It's for the new Scream coming up. I don't know what it is. And he just contributes and he just milks the death while the Scream is there like, no!
Just stuff like that makes me excited for the return of the studio because those creative people have been cooking stuff all up for a year. I cannot wait till that comes back.
No doubt in my mind. That's what things that hurt me so much in season 7. The fact that when he had gotten Andrew Guy and McWeenie into his faction for season 7, it would have been amazing to see what he could have done in studio with them. I mean, of course, he only showed up a couple of times, which was for I think actually was he ever? I don't think he ever showed up in studio during season 7.
I don't recall.
It was mainly Janine
like every weekend
Guy.
Every weekend it seemed like he had a con or something. He was at.
Yeah, it was mainly Janine and Guy who were there as a supporting, pretty much as a support, as the coaches for certain matches, and that kind of hurt too. I mean, I would have loved to obviously, Guy, he's a studio. He plays in the studio. He can't. He just can't adjust to the digital, but I would have loved to have seen what would have happened with Samm and Guy having this great cutscene in the studio with them during season 7.
That would have been pretty good.
Yeah, but let's get on to the fact with Drew McWeenie. Jesus, I mean, Samm and Drew above the line. Seriously. Yep. Oh, thank you, Leo. Yeah, he showed up for Janine's match. Oh my God. That's right, against Riley. So he was there in studio at times. But even as a manager, his expertise, him knowing the game, not even missing a beat. Like his the way he challenged him as a player, challenging questions definitely carried over very well as a manager, to where he will pop in, really talk with his players, making sure if he wants to throw out he'll explain his stuff before the challenge happens. Like, of course, rewatching his match against Clark Wolf in round 2 when he got War, of course. I forgot the movie, but mainly the question regarding the difference between desertion and leaving your post, on why it was a very smart challenge for him to throw out there, because he just wanted to get a clarification.
That's one thing I noticed outside of his first match against Hal Rudnick, where obviously he's new to this and he didn't really know the rules. Mm-hmm. You could tell from the beginning the man was a student of the game. Before there was a game to be a student of, the man was a student of the game. And that translates very well to his managerial capacity now.
And even now, like, of course, if we're judging, I mean, if we have to compare or contrast, it's still early in the season right now, but just seeing how he drafted last year to drafting now, he has made some incredible improvements. Because looking in season 7, at the time when he had drafted for the usual suspects, he had, of course, the family, which was McWeeny and Guy. He had drafted Janine the Machine. He drafted Jada Parama, which he later traded for. He drafted, I know he drafted Robert Montana. Oh no, he picked Robert in the free agency. Man, it's honestly, I'm trying to remember mostly who he had for the usual suspects.
Okay, so I've got it here. So he would have been at the end, by the end of the season. Andrew Guy, Cameron Rice, Doug Benson.
Right, he did pick him up. Doug as well, yes.
Yeah, Ethan Irwin. This is at the end of last season, so there's Ethan in there.
Ethan.
Yeah. Well, because Ethan started off on the Drugs last year. That's probably why.
That's correct, yes.
Yeah. And then you had Janine, Jen Kemp, Matt Atchity, Molly Damon, Robert Montano, and Sabina
Graves. Yes, Sabina Graves, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, it makes a lot more sense now. I know he did pick up Sabina and Robert in the free agency draft, but even then, I know he did make a trade in order to get Ethan Irwin. That's why he traded Gator to. He drafted Jada Parama and then traded him along with someone else to the Droogs for Ethan. So, but even then, Sam at the time when he was picking, it was obvious his number one priority was getting Drew McWeeny, and then of course working with Janine was another fantastic steal as well. I mean. Seriously, the fact that Sam and, of course, this year Roxy realizing the potential in Janine just shows, as managers, one key factor as a manager, seeing a great potential in a player that you can add on with your own personal experience.
Yeah, I'm hoping that Roxy finally is able to unlock everything that's inside Janine, because she could be one of the greats. Yeah, but she just needs. There's something missing, and I'm pretty sure Roxy is that ingredient. But anywho, back to Sam, and then this year, his draft list this year is much better. You got Ethan Irwin, Lieutenant Miller, Drew McWeeny. Those were the free agents. Like, holy shit. And then in drafting, Amaru Moses, one of the Fan League 4, Marie E. Wilson, one of the Dragon Con people, Stacey Howard, who's always sneaky, Jacob Whitnabin, Paul Walter Hauser, Frankie Alvarez, Paige Fabretti, Nikki DeMolanta, and of course Doug Benson.
Yeah, getting back Doug Benson, which is smart too, because Doug, I swear, he could have had an opportunity to play. Actually, no, Doug was picked up in the free agency as well. Yeah, because the free agency that out of Jericho and Kevin Smith, Doug Benson was also the other celebrity picked up. He just never got the opportunity to play. So it was, man, it's really upsetting seeing how. I mean, I know free agency for this season's coming up soon, but even then, we're still very early in this season. So I don't see anybody currently on Sam's list of players that he's willing that he might or have to drop. I mean,
the only one would be Benson or Paul Walter Hauser, depending on their schedules, really.
Yeah, and I'll have to say this too: the same reason why Roxy didn't pick her up too, Stacey Howard, because Roxy did say afterwards that one of the reasons why she couldn't keep Stacey was her schedule as well. And I don't want that, and that should never be, and to be honest, it really should never be a negative, but unfortunately the Schmoedown is a different beast this year. It's definitely more sports-oriented, so scheduling does unfortunately be, like every other job, scheduling is priority. Now, it didn't stop the fact that Sam with Stacey was still able to at least have themselves a very good match against Kevin Smith.
And he brought something out of Stacy that I hadn't seen in a long time, because normally last few years she was playing the heel role, but this one she's just more like, I'm having fun. Let's do this.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's right.
Thank you, Leo.
Yeah,
thank you very much, man.
Josh Horowitz.
I haven't seen the recent one.
But that still like, it means if we all get out of this thing alive, like their schedules will be picking up, because Paul Walter Hauser is an actor in demand.
Yeah, it's true. And even though Sam is a producer as well, no idea. I mean, he was definitely more flexible because of the digital season. Who knows when they get back to studio again if he's going to be as flexible as well.
Yeah.
But even then, it does not take away from the fact that Sam, even though as a manager, he was able to really prove his wits and test his mettle with the best. I mean, come on. Last year, Ethan Irwin went to sudden death twice against Roca and against Merle. And the fact that Sam, even though he was pretty much being the comic, he was providing some comic relief, it was still much needed comic relief because both of those matches were so damn stressful. The fact that if Ethan had missed a question against Roca, we would have seen Roca versus Merle. If Ethan was able to remember a question against Dan, he could have been the champion instead of Dan. So the fact that Sam, with that great comedic wit, was able to bring it in at certain moments really did help alleviate tension. And while some people are going to be looking at this replay going, wait, why is comedy important in a Schmoedown match? You need any way to relax yourself.
Yeah,
either playing or watching.
That's one of the biggest things I realized going back and watching season 3 was just how different it felt. I'm not talking about like how the rounds were. Like that's obvious. I'm talking like it looked like everyone was just there to have a good time. Whereas now it's become more structured. It's becoming more professional. But back then, you could tell that they were having a lot of fun, and that is something I miss.
They were so loose with everything. Like if they when I talked about oh my God, watching John Snap's old matches, the fact that he was just so fun and relaxed. Like if he didn't know a question, he'd throw a fucking F-bomb at somebody. Or in his team's match against the Wolves of Steel, he comes out with pizza and beer, and he's just like, oh, I don't need to be professional. Just fucking eat this stuff. Yeah. Or with even with Riley and Levine, even though they were professionals, they came in just to relax, play some trivia, and then have a good time, and even cut some jokes while you were at it. I mean, how else was Josh McCouga so damn good? Was because he was there to have fun, and if he won, he won.
Oh yeah, and he went full on.
I mean, that's one thing I do miss. I mean, of course, we do see people lose their stuff, like when they win a match, but we're never going to get to the point to where Josh McCouga wins. He's going to be like, woo! Woo! You know?
Yeah, we're never going to get that. The closest I think we're ever going to get is when Rager finally wins a studio match. But yeah, that type of atmosphere, I hope it comes back in a way, because that's, to me, is the true thing that's missing from this digital age, is that interaction. Because there's only so much you can do like this. But when you're in studio, there's just so much more you can do. And that's where I think Sam is at his best, is when he's in studio.
Yeah, I mean, just bring up the moments we talked about. That moment where he interrupts a Spectacular 3, him being a part of the Scream Queen's entrance. I mean, even his win when he, above the line, beats the Patriots. That last 5-pointer in Crime. Who plays the dad? Who plays Charlie? Who plays the dad of Charlize Theron's character in The Italian Job? Answer was Donald Sutherland. The moment Snyder gets it wrong, and before Christian even says "and your winner," he's like, "No, Donald Sutherland, yeah!"
Yeah, he did that a lot. Those two tournaments too. I know he did it in the Roca match. He did it in the match prior to that. Yeah, he did that a lot.
I mean, the only time he held back, the only time he was very reserved was when he won against Rachel twice and against Clark. And even, I would say, even when he had beaten when he had beaten Christian Harloff as well.
Yeah, he was very subdued.
I mean, obviously, because the whole thing was very, unfortunately, very tense. But even then, when he and McLean beat DC Movie News by TKO, even then they were still kind of like, yeah, happy, all smiles. But even though so, McWeenie's presence was kind of like a very calming effect to Sam. Like, even though Sam was still a very happy celebrator, McWeenie really did balance out Sam when it came to just getting those questions down, answering
and then finally lets it all out when it matters the most, when they won the belts, and his reaction was just like, "Whoa!" Took it back because you're so used to seeing McWeenie.
That damn defense, though. I'm like, wow. And then of course, look, the biggest negative. I mean, obviously the negatives I've already listed of Sam retiring, but yeah. We could have gotten at least one more team's defense with McWeenie, honestly. One more team's defense. Even though McWeenie says he was okay with it, I felt we could have deserved to have seen a run, at least.
Yeah. And that's one thing we didn't touch on is, like, we just talked about how the effects McWeenie had on Sam. But what about the other way around? Like, that was easily McWeenie's best run. And Sam, like we said, McWeenie taught Sam how to calm down, whereas Sam taught McWeenie how to have fun.
Yeah.
Which is something we hadn't really seen from Drew up until that point.
Yeah. I mean, of course, the whole thing of the character of the Godfather, of course, you think of the Godfather films, you think intimidating. You don't think of anything relaxing, which is why I'm glad that McWeenie is back with Sam, because Sam is going to help he's going to get McWeenie to have fun. Now, man, I really thought when McWeenie joined Sam, I thought the best pairing was going to be Ethan and McWeenie. But I love Liz and Ethan together. And after watching Lightning Time's match, that was the smartest pairing. Perfect pairing. How Ethan and Shannon were able to work with each other. Liz just being like, oh, she feels it this way, and then Ethan just having to work it out and then backing her up, and it worked.
Yeah, and a lot of that has to do with like over 20 years of really close friendship between the two. That's why I honestly, after seeing that match, I think they're going to be the team to beat this year.
That's what I'm hoping too. Like, I'm not actual money, but I'm putting my theoretical money behind them to get to the finals. Like, I want them to beat Rushmore. I want them to beat either Danger Zone or Deception and challenge for those championships.
Yeah.
I'm spoiling if anyone had watched matches.
I'm hoping it pays off for them, because I'm looking at the current standings. It's not looking too good for Sam. He's still got a ways to go. But I think if Lightning Time keeps winning, we're going to see Sam jump up the ratings this year.
I do. And I also do believe the moment Ethan gets another singles match, and I do believe Liz deserves another shot. I'm waiting for Amaru's next match coming up soon in IG, because right now, looking at, with his list, out of the people, of course, Liz lost the match, but right now, the people who in this faction that has won mainly, it's just Amaru, Frankie, and I'm trying to think.
Lightning Time.
Murray Wilson as well. With the Star Wars tournament coming up.
Yep.
Sam.
McWeenie. Didn't he beat Lon?
No, he lost to Lon.
Right. Yes, that's right. He lost Lon. So I remember being very disappointed in that.
But that's okay. But even then, McWeenie's still coming back. That still counts, because McWeenie still gets in. He gets another match coming down the road. There's no way they're gonna overlook the fact that McWeenie, who had been gone since season 7 and is back, they're not gonna be like, you're gonna get another shot to play. No, you are definitely going to play, and Sam's definitely gonna be there.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think he might have learned his lesson from the last time around, and now that they're going to be getting their own studio and all that stuff, things will probably be a little bit more flexible. But yeah, thank you again, Leo. I don't know what we would do without you. Whitney Bean plays Mark Haas on May 27th, and Mark Haas is,
I believe he's with the Den, or he's with the Queen Stock Exchange. Yes,
Stock Exchange. So that's going to be fun, because anytime that Roca and Levine are near each other on a mic, and you throw in Dagnito in there, it's always a good time.
Yeah, they don't let it. They never get. Let's just say when it comes with having knife at each other's throats, they never let up.
No, God, no. And I think that's what made their match, in hindsight, looking back on it and having to review it, I think that's what made their match so much better, is because you knew that they had no problem delivering heavy bombs against each other.
Yeah. And just one more thing, doing another compare and contrast between the factions of Sam's factions during that time. It's clear with this new faction that he has with the Suspects, he really did rely more on some of the, like, he got some of his heavy hitters out of Ethan, Liz, and with Drew McWeeny, and he decided to build that up with some younger talent, honestly, out of Frankie, out of course Paul Walterhauser, retaining Doug Benson. Like, he, just like with every other manager, he does believe that fresh new talent mixing with veterans is a great combination.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, 9 out of his 12 players, 8 of his 12 players are rookies.
Yeah. And that, I mean, I'm not saying it's going to say a lot, but it speaks volumes, because let's be honest, after that season draft, everyone looked at Samm and Finstock as if, have you lost your mind? Why did you get so many rookies?
Yeah, because we saw what happened last year when the Dungeons did the same thing, and their year was garbage. Like, it was a bad year, and this is coming from a Dungeon shill. So yeah, seeing Samm and Dagnino draft similarly, it's like, what are they doing here? Right now, it's working off great for the Finstock exchange. Like, their rookies have come to play. They're doing great. They're standing number 2 in the rankings right now. Suspects, not so much, but hopefully that'll change around for them as we progress forward.
Well, look, everything so far. I mean, even right now, Corruption as the faction champions, even themselves, they're down there, and they've been in that spot before. I kind of believe that these upcoming tournaments, with the Star Wars tournament, and most likely when another Inner Geekdom tournament comes up, that is really going to determine which faction will have the most energy, will have the heat going in towards the end of the year.
Agreed.
But right now with Samm, wrapping up as we come towards with Samm just as a player, I mean, you really do see like his playability from season 3 and season 4 clearly is apples and oranges, as you can tell. You said Samm is a student of the game. That season, it was clear. He came in like a freshman. He's just there to have fun and study. But then guess what? He comes in next season. He's like a sophomore who wants to go for a master's degree. He's already got everything cleared off the table. Sure, there's a few areas he's not great in, which is animated. Sometimes he slips a bit on Oscars and war and action adventure. But even then, he still maintains a high accuracy, honestly. Out of all of his matches, I mean, I don't have the overall accuracy, but rewatching them, his lowest match, and I have to be honest, his lowest match is only against Christian Harloff, but because that was a TKO match.
Yeah.
And actually, no, his match against Christian and Clark Wolf are just they're his only lowest scored matches, honestly.
Yeah, the first one against Clark Wolf, yes.
The first one, not the defense, the first one against Clark Wolf. Going on then.
And look at the run he went off. After he lost to Dan Merle, he beat Bibbs, Roca, Cushing for the first time, JTE, Harloff, Cushing for the second time, Clark Wolf. That's nothing to sneeze at.
No, it's not. It's really not. And despite... Yeah, Leo, we've definitely talked about that when we talked about Perry Nemiroff, but even then, that was definitely a Samm really new to the game, a very brand new Samm. Like that first teams match, obviously, pairing off with someone who's very good in regular, just general knowledge. It was just clear that Samm and Brad, they clearly they were new to the game. They went through the repeats very fast. They picked, oh my God, their slice. What was it again?
Opponent's choice. They lost an opponent's choice on Pixar.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, just goes to show Samm really has something in for animation in general. But yeah, their opponent's choice. I mean, just looking at it. But even then, like, not going to multiple choice. I remember rewatching that match. Samm was still new to the whole idea, especially with the whole multiple choice. Like, he and Brad were mainly just trying to work it out between each other. Yeah. They still get KO'd. But then what happens? He improves. He understands more of using multiple choice with strategy in that second round, which did prove very well, especially, I think, in his match against JTE. I mean, of course, JTE with with that speed round against JTE and the fucking Back to the Future 2. Like, man.
Yeah. Leo had put this earlier in the show. Yeah.
That fucking miss, though. I mean, but even then, just knowing the fact that improving well in round 2, being a master at the damn speed round. I mean, fucking hell. I still am floored he TKO'd Rachel in that defense, honestly. Yeah. The fact that if it wasn't for that lightning round, this would have been a very close match between the two of them.
Yeah, no, agreed. The fact like nobody KOs Rachel, nobody except for the man she's about to marry.
Yeah. Like even in her loss against Stacey Howard, that wasn't even a KO. Honestly, that was just a simple upset. Like, oh my god, yeah. To be honest, look, I mean, the moment we get to talking about Rachel Cushing, believe me, that is the only KO in her record. Everything else is by close loss. Well, technically, she did a 2-on-1, her 2-on-1 match. I mean, you could almost say
almost beat them. Like,
yeah, she came close, very close. I mean,
it's nuts.
I know Rachel's not watching this, but even then, Rachel, some of the matches that you have gone on record with on the rundown have been like very rough for you. They're personally my favorite matches. Her 2-on-1 match, her match against Mara. I mean, they're definitely one of my favorite matches. And
that Mara one, just to hear everything that they were going through, it's just elevates it that much more.
And most people have said it makes it hard to watch, and I get it, but it's just more of, it's not like I'm disconnecting myself from it. I actually involved that in, because even then, just seeing them, how they're just mentally struggling just to stay focused. And then by the time Rachel is just completely out of it, then just seeing how she and Mara, they really both didn't have to play, but they wanted to.
And they went, 6 rounds into sudden death or more?
Yeah, like 7 questions. So, God, it's definitely one of my top 5 favorite matches.
And imagine if they were both healthy.
God damn it.
Right?
Oh, God damn. That's one of the things I would love. I mean, I know season 7, before everything went to hell, Christian, and I have said this so many times, Christian has said he wanted to do like what if matches. Give us a Rachel and Mara what if for Inner Geekdom Championship. Just give us that one.
Yes, please. Book it, Arloff. Book it.
Out of the millions and millions of what ifs I would love to see, my immediate top 5s are always surrounding Rachel and Clark, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my top 2 are Rachel and Mara and Rachel and Dan.
Yeah. Mine would have loved to have been Clark versus Roca. I would have loved to have seen Clark going up against Bibiani.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see a rubber match with Clark and Dan again, because I believe Clark, she's fallen short twice against Dan. I want to see an opportunity to see her go up against her. But yeah, that's
tough though, because of where Dan is right now.
Yeah, like I said, it would be tough. Clark is no longer, she's not doing the studying habit. She's got her own thing, and I love watching her on Twitch talking about The Walking Dead. But no, all right, going back on and then just wrapping ourselves up with Samm Levine. Soda, any final thoughts you have on Sam?
Yeah, after going back and reviewing this and looking at his record and who he beat and stuff, his place in the conversation for greatest of all time now is more valid to me than it was going into it. Yeah. Because really the only thing that ever stuck out in my head was that one particular run. But then when you go back and you look at his whole career, no, he's played some really good matches. A lot of moments happened with him involved. It's just like his overall impact on the league is undeniable.
Apologies. I still heard you on everything. You are right. I remember that year, the Schmoedown Awards, when he was Player of the Year, everyone, that was a slight controversial because it was the same year he retired. I still, now looking in hindsight, I do understand everyone why they wanted to award it to him. Personally, to me, I still felt Rachel was the overall Player of the Year, because during that time, even when he retired, Rachel was playing in 3 separate divisions. She had that match against Mara, her match against Sam, the Shire Wolves run in the teams division. She had, in my mind, and even that triple threat match against Kalinowski and JTE.
Beginning of the year.
Rachel had she had so many big matches compared to Sam. I mean, yes, his 2 title defenses, above the line going up against the Patriots twice. Great. But just the run that Rachel had, I still believe she was owed to it. That's my personal feelings. But still aside, she and Sam were literally just neck and neck with each other. Neck
for sure.
Neck. And then even then, Sam, he showed great improvement after losing to Dan Murrow. That both the teams and singles, only person to win both those tournaments, and I have not seen nobody recreate that. So the accomplishments so far. Let's list them off right now. Won both the singles and teams tournaments.
Yep.
Double champion. Obviously defended both championships while
apparently
being
the second double belted champion.
Second? I thought it was the first.
Yeah, this is according to the Collider. Oh no, sorry, I'm still on Rachel's thing. I'm sorry. Yeah, so this is his awards and nominations. So he is a former singles champ, former teams champ, the first player to hold both belts at the same time, 2017 Ultimate Schmoedown champ, 2017 Ultimate Schmoedown teams champion, 2017 free for all winner. Nominated in 2016 for Babyface of the Year and Rookie of the Year. In 2017, nominated for Comeback Player of the Year, Match of the Year, Babyface of the Year, Team of the Year. And in his final year, 2018, nominated for Babyface Team of the Year, Babyface of the Year, Moment of the Year, Match of the Year, 2 Matches of the Year, Team of the Year, and Singles Player of the Year. That's a long list of accomplishments in only 3 seasons.
Yes. And obviously, it's something that so many other players are trying to accomplish. I mean, definitely, he raised the bar. He really did. And nowadays, I mean, of course, obviously, Dan has definitely leaped that bar as well. But still, Samm, he set a new level. He raised the bar to a new level in the Schmoedown to where season 6 became a whole nother beast in itself. And if it wasn't for Samm doing what he did during season 5, being a champion, being a double belted champion, having raised the plane, changing the way how you play the game, how you present yourself. God, I have to admit, Samm definitely. I mean, to me, and Ben and I have always said this: the greats of Schmoedown. There is no Mount Rushmore. It is literally a hall of champions. Samm is definitely towards the pinnacle of those hall of champions. Like, if there was like if we had to lay out a row of just busts in if you were walking down, like pretty much like in Falcon Winter Soldier, if you had to use the Smithsonian in order to represent the best Schmoedown players, Samm Levine would have that special section to where Isaiah Bradley is on how goddamn good he is. That's where I see.
Yeah, he's definitely like he's talked about as one of the greats, but he's also very much an unsung hero in the development league because not only for what he did off camera, he was involved too behind the scenes in crafting things like the rule book and a lot of he was one of the judges for challenges and stuff like that. So he's not just in front of the camera, but behind the camera. His impact it's unquestionable.
I do agree with that. But, man, we can keep – honestly, there's so much more we can say about Samm, but we're definitely going to wrap this up because even though John had to leave, I will give everyone a teaser for who we're going to be talking about next week. And I'm just going to say it. We're going to be talking about the other half of Above the Line, Drew McWeeny, ladies and gentlemen. So next week, Ben and John and I will be back. We're going to talk about Drew McWeeny. And then I hope you all get to tune in next week with us, either live or rewatching here on the Schmoes of the North channel with myself, Ben, and John, and any other future special guests we'll have. Either we'll have Soda back again, we may have Frenchie here, Dave, anyone else from the Schmoes of the North family, or we might reach out to any other special guests who have other Schmoedown after shows. We loved talking with many of you out there. We want to hear who you want to talk about. Put down in the comments who you want to see us talk about next, and we will definitely put that into our schedule. This season is just ramping up. There's going to be so many good players that's going to just keep us covered for another 2 to 3 years. So
this is the golden era.
Yes, golden era, new chapter. I mean, that's what season 8. It shouldn't be called war. It should be called the golden era. But that's fine. We're in a war, and wars get bloody.
Yeah.
So going to sign off. Soda, thank you for joining me and John. I know John, he got to say. I'll remind everybody, if you guys want to follow John, go to the Movie Lovers Talk online. Movie Lovers Unite. Jesus, I mess it up, and he's just joined us. I'm going to write this down to make sure. Movie Lovers Unite. Make sure you follow John on Movie Lovers Unite and check him out. He gives good opinions, great reviews of movies, and he definitely and I know he definitely pops up here along in the Schmoes of the North network as well. But Soda, if you have the floor, tell everyone else where they can find you.
So you can find me on my personal Instagram and Twitter at soda_the_saxman. You can find me all over this glorious channel, Schmoes of the North, on Schmoedown 9 in Canada every week, where we break down the matches that happened this past week. We did a live show last night covering last night's pay-per-view, which was a lot of fun. It was myself, my friend Taco, and our good friend Jay Wade, who joined us. Tonight we have a new show debuting on Schmoes of the North. It is a Star Wars show, but it's a what if Star Wars show. Basically, from what I understand, they're going to be taking two characters from Star Wars. They're going to be listing all their pros, their cons, their powers, all the stuff, and they're going to decide out of the two who would win in a fight. So definitely check that out tonight, 6 o'clock Pacific, 9 o'clock Eastern on Schmoes of the North. The name of the show is Let's Talk About Star Wars, and because Taco's the host, it's Taco-about Star Wars.
Oh my god, I actually do want to tune in and watch that.
Yeah, and then of course I have my other channel along with Ben as well, Media Sweaties Network, where you can find me over there on several shows with Ben, three during the week, recapping the past, where we recap, where we review, do a top 5 list of our favorite episodes of seasons of our favorite TV show. Currently, we are doing Friends, which is a great time having again to go back and rewatch that. We've also got Shooting the Breeze, where we just sit down and talk for an hour with our friends around the internet. And then, of course, our main show Saturday mornings, Get Sweaty, which is our normal top 5 show. Today's was top 5 TV show themes. Next week is top 5 TV episodes of all time.
That's going to be a rough episode.
Yeah,
there's so many.
That was all Ben's fault.
Oh my god. Oh, but yeah.
And of course, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel Schmoes of the North, and also to the Facebook page and to the Twitter page as well.
Yes. Schmoes of the North Twitter page. Also, the Mount Schmoedown Twitter page is still active, ladies and gentlemen. Go ahead, follow that, like as well. We always try to keep ourselves updated what episodes we're going to be having coming up. You can also follow me on my Twitter, Caramel_Pain. You can also follow, and my co-host Ben, who's not here. He's partnered with Soda of the Media Sweaties Network. And also, of course, our old Schmoedown, our old channel, Mount Schmoedown, is still there for our old episodes. So if you want to check them out, you still can. Otherwise, our old library is part of the Schmoes of the North Network. And if any of you out there are big wrestling fans, I have a podcast called the Wrestling Ramblings and Rages Podcast that I co-host with my buddy and current FCL competitor James Shimo and our new co-host Brenton McPherson. We are going to be coming out with a new we're going to be kicking up our old shows sooner or later, but for right now, check out our old episodes that James and I have had reviewing Raw, NXT, AEW, and Impact, and certain pay-per-views on Spotify, Apple, and Podbean. Now, signing off, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. And I wish Sam had. What did Sam ever have like a sign-off that I can go off on? If not,
no, I don't think he ever had a catchphrase.
Oh, that sucks. But always remember, guys, Sam was in Inglorious Bastards, not because the Inglorious one's in his name. Just remember, he was Private Hirschberg, so you don't have him cancel whatever you're doing. Have a good night.
See ya.